Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make one video by combining two different ones and having them fade into each other using the keyframes and the scene duration tools. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project, and then by clicking that it's going to bring me to this page, which is going to allow me to select the media that I want to put into the project. And I already have my two video clips here, so I'm just going to click on both of those. And then they're going to pop up down here, which lets me know that they're ready to be imported. And then once I have those, I'm going to go ahead and click create. So now this is the project page, and this area down here is the timeline. This is where all the clips are going to be, and then up here is where it shows what the video is actually going to look like. And then over here we have the edit area, and if we click on this, we can change it to the effect controls tab, which is going to show us all the different effects that we could use on a specific clip when it's selected. So the first thing I want to do is I want to unlink the videos from their audio tracks. So to do that, I'm going to click on a video, then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to unlink. And I'm going to do that for both of these. So what that does is it separates the video from the audio so both of them can be edited separately, which is very important because the videos aren't going to match up exactly with the audio as it is right now, and I need to be able to work on them separately in order to make the video work. So now I'm going to select the later two clips, and I'm going to just slide them over a little bit so I could work on this and have room to see it and not mix it up with that one. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the video, and I'm going to use this bar down here to zoom in. So the smaller this is, the wider each of these is going to be, because this bar shows how much of the total timeline is there. So the smaller it gets, the smaller the section is, and the bigger each of these clips is going to look. So I'm going to slide it over until it's like this. And then these two bars do the same thing, except it affects the height. So to see the audio clearly, I'm going to move the divider up so that most of this area is for the the audio clips. And I'm going to make this smaller so the audio box gets bigger. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to cut this video so it starts when all these extra things go away, and then at the end, I want it to stop before it goes to Scooby's face. I want it to end here. So I'm going to crop both ends of this using the razor tool. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm just going to use this bar to scroll until I find the area where the extra stuff goes away. So right here is where it disappears. So I'm going to use the razor tool to cut it. Then I'm going to use my selection tool and erase what I don't want. Then I'm going to bring the rest of the clip forward, and I'm also going to move it up because it's going to fade into the second clip, but it's going to be on top of it. So now I'm going to cut the back end of this. So I'm just going to scroll until I see where it ends. And then I'm going to cut it and erase it. Now I'm going to do something similar with the audio. I don't want any of this silence, and then I also don't want any of the words after "where are you," because that's when it's going to fade into the second clip's audio. So I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to cut it on both ends to just have that part of the song. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm going to move on to the second clip, and I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. So with the audio, I wanted to start when Tom is singing "Where Are You?" So I'm going to scroll through, and I'm going to cut it when it starts, and then I'm going to let it ride out to the end of the chorus, and I'm going to cut it off there. Now, since the video is only going to last as long as the audio, I can go ahead and cut this part here too, and then erase all the extra stuff. But when it comes to the front, I want a little bit more than this part here. So I'm going to cut it off here, just so that way, when the other video fades into it, there is some overlap where there's no blank screen showing. So now I'm going to go ahead and slide these back over together with the other ones. And because these two are going to overlap, what I want to do, so I'm going to move the second audio clip down to a new layer, just like the video is. So now with the two audio layers, I'm going to cut in between each word so that way each of the audios can be matched up to align perfectly with each word being said. So I'm going to cut where, are, and you from all three of them, but I'm going to save it. I'm not going to delete any part of it. I'm just going to have the cut as a marker for where they all start so I can arrange them evenly. So now that they're all cut, we can see that they are not the same duration. So what I want to do is I want to change the duration of these so they match up with each other. So I'm going to hover over this one and look at the duration. Then I'm going to right click on the one that needs to be changed, which is the longer one. Click on speed duration and then change it so it matches the top one. Then I'm also going to hit maintain audio pitch, which is really important because if it's not selected, then the audio is going to get distorted once the duration of the clip changes. So once I have all that done, I'm going to hit OK. And now the two clips are the same. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the second clip. I'm just going to slide this over first. Now I'm going to line this up so they start at the same time. And I'm going to change the duration. So I'm going to look at the duration for this clip. And then I'm going to apply it to this one. And once again, maintaining the audio pitch, and then OK. And now the last two can just be slid over. So now, the audios are all done. And what I'm going to do is cut the video where it's going to start fading. So I'm going to bring this little bar over to where we see the first word starting. I'm going to cut it. And now I'm going to select this clip. And this is where the keyframes come in. So now that my cursor thing is at the front, I'm going to hit opacity, and I'm going to make a keyframe. And I want the opacity to be 100 at this point, because it's still the full thing. And then I'm going to slide this all the way to the end. And I'm going to make another keyframe, but this time I'm going to set it to 0, because at this point I want it to be fully faded out. And now if we go over the clip, we can see it start to fade once that happens. So now that the audio is all done, what I want to do is I want to line up this video with the audio track underneath. So what I'm going to do is scroll all the way to the end because they end at the same time. And I'm just going to move it over until they're lined up. And now that part's done. And I'm just going to double check how it flows together. Okay, so now the next keyframes that we're going to add are going to be for the audio tracks. So these have to fade into each other. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make them sound like they're about the same volume, so there's not a drastic change from one clip to the other. So this bar right here in the middle is the volume level. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to listen to it and I'm going to move it up until it matches. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these three in a nest so that they can all be adjusted at the same time. So now they're all grouped together. And what I want to do is I'm also going to make a cut here. And I'm going to nest these three together so that they could also be adjusted at the same time. So now, playing it back, I'm just going to make sure that these volumes match because the bar did get shifted down. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to add more keyframes. So I'm going to click this one, and that volume is going to stay as it is. And I'm going to add another one here. And at that point, I want the audio to fade out. So now I'm just going to listen back and see how it sounds. And it did fade, so we're going to leave that for now. And then we're going to do the same thing to the bottom. So we're going to add a keyframe here and a keyframe here. So I'm going to move the beginning down because I want it to fade in. I don't want it to be at the same level the whole time. And then listen to them together to see if it fades properly. And now it's just adjusting these little by little to make it flow nicely and sound natural. Okay, so now that the fades are done, what I want to do is I want to have it fade out at the end. So I'm going to click on the video. I'm going to make a keyframe. I'm going to set the opacity to 0. And then this is going to make it fade and fade fully away. And I just want to scroll through and find a good point for it to, well, I'm going to add another keyframe to the front so that way it is visible. And then just scroll through until get to probably about here. I'm just going to listen to the track to see where it sounds like would be a nice place to fade out. I like right here because it's where he's saying tonight. So I'm going to add another keyframe. I'm going to set this to 100. And then when it plays, this is the part where it's going to start to fade out. Just like that. And now, also going to have it fade in a little bit from darkness. So I'm going to set a keyframe here. I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to do another keyframe. I'm going to set this to 0. So now I'm just going to watch it back and see how it looks. So I think that's a good amount of fading in. So now I'm just going to watch the whole thing and make sure there's no adjustments. Okay, so the video itself is good, but one thing that I didn't like was once it got to the Blink-182 video, there's this little Vivo symbol and the color is different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the video pieces. I'm going to nest those together. And then once I have this, going to apply. So what I'm just going to do is drag these corners out until it only has the part of the screen that I want. So now we can just watch the whole clip back. So there we go. Now we took two videos and we mashed them together using the duration tool as well as keyframes. And this was the final product. So I hope this helped and thank you for watching.